The story opens at the Galactic Council chambers on the neutral world of Varshan Prime, where Ambassador Victoria Lang represents humanity in ongoing negotiations about territorial disputes in the Outer Reach sectors. The council chamber buzzes with representatives from dozens of species, including the militaristic Krell Empire, the ancient and sophisticated Velorum Collective, and the trade-dominant Asheran Commonwealth. Commander Daniel Pierce, stationed aboard the defense platform orbiting Earth, monitors deep space sensors that have begun detecting unusual energy signatures from the Neptune region. These signatures match nothing in current human databases, but old archived files from the early space exploration era contain fragmentary references to something called Project Horizon. On the council floor, Councillor Thex of the Krell openly mocks humanity's military capabilities, pointing to their outdated fleet of fusion drive cruisers and planetary defense grids. He presents holographic evidence of human vessels struggling against even minor pirate fleets in frontier space. The Velorum representative, an elegant being named Cora, agrees with cold politeness that humanity's 3-century participation in galactic affairs has been marked by technological stagnation rather than advancement. Victoria maintains diplomatic composure but feels the sting of truth in their words. Humanity's fleet is old, built on designs from their first contact era, and repeatedly passed over for technology sharing agreements due to their perceived military weakness. Daniel receives clearance to investigate the energy signatures personally, taking a small research vessel named the Copernicus with a crew of 12 scientists and technicians. Among them is Dr. Helen Morris, a xenoarchaeologist who specializes in pre-contact human history, and Lieutenant Carl Jensen, a young tactical officer eager to prove himself. As they approach Neptune's orbit, their sensors go wild. Massive structures are emerging from what appears to be folded space, technology far beyond current human capabilities. Helen Cross references the energy patterns with classified historical documents and makes a startling discovery. During humanity's first century in space, before first contact, a secret military project constructed an entire fleet in deep space, then placed it in dimensional storage as humanity's failsafe. The structures fully materialize: 17 massive warships, each measuring over 3 kilometers in length, bristling with weapon systems that predate even humanity's knowledge of alien life. These ships were built using Earth's own theoretical physics, developed in isolation, taking completely different technological paths than the galactic standard. The lead vessel identifies itself through automated systems as the Defiant, flagship of what was called the Guardian Fleet. Its AI systems begin handshake protocols with the Copernicus, recognizing Daniel's command codes through genealogical markers. His great-great-grandfather was one of the project's chief engineers. As systems activate across all 17 ships, Helen discovers their purpose. Humanity's first space-faring generations feared what they might find in the cosmos, and built these warships using every theoretical weapon they could imagine, including several that were abandoned as too dangerous or unstable once humanity learned galactic species had survived millions of years without destroying themselves. Back at Varshan Prime, Victoria receives an emergency transmission. The Krell Empire has launched a surprise assault on the Denarii system, a peaceful federation of species that refuse to submit to Krell territorial demands. The attack violates every galactic treaty, but the Krell have calculated that no combined fleet can reach Denarii in time to matter. The Council erupts in chaos. The Velorum Collective proposes economic sanctions. The Asheran Commonwealth threatens trade embargoes, but everyone knows these are empty gestures. The Krell Warfleet consists of over 200 vessels, including their infamous dreadnoughts that can crack planets. The Denarii have perhaps 40 outdated ships for defense. Victoria makes a bold proposal: humanity will respond to Denarii's distress call. The council chamber falls silent, then erupts in a mixture of laughter and disbelief. Counselor Thex openly states that sending humanity's pitiful fleet would only add to the body count. Even allies like the Asheran representative quietly suggest humanity reconsider throwing away lives in a futile gesture. But Victoria has received a coded message from Daniel. 3 words: the fleet awakens. She stakes humanity's council seat on this mission. If humanity fails, they will withdraw from galactic politics entirely. If they succeed, the council must grant them full military technology sharing rights. The council, certain of humanity's failure but seeing political advantage in humanity's self-imposed exile, agrees. Daniel and his team work frantically to understand the Guardian fleet systems. The ships are massive, requiring crews of thousands, but they were designed with skeleton crew operations in mind. Helen discovers that each vessel contains millions of automated systems and drone weapons platforms. The technology is strange, built on principles that diverge from galactic standards. Where alien ships use antimatter reactors, these human vessels use something called quantum cascade generators. Where galactic weapons focus on plasma and particle beams, these ships carry railguns that fire projectiles at relativistic speeds, missile systems with AI-guided warheads, and something Helen can barely understand from the technical documents: reality anchor disruptors. Lieutenant Carl volunteers to interface with the Defiance command systems. The ship's AI, which identifies itself as Sentinel, explains that it has monitored galactic communications for 3 centuries through hidden probes. It knows humanity has been diminished in galactic perception, treated as weak. It has waited for the moment when humanity would need its true strength revealed. Daniel authorizes full fleet activation. Across all 17 ships, power cores that have slumbered for generations roar to life. The vessels were built for war by a humanity that had only itself to rely on, every system designed for maximum lethality. Sentinel provides crew manifests. Each ship needs only 50 humans to operate at combat effectiveness, with automation handling the rest. A call goes out across human space. Veterans, active service members, and volunteers flood to Neptune. Within 30 hours, Daniel has assembled skeleton crews for all 17 vessels. Among them is Captain Veronica Hayes, a decorated officer who takes command of the 2nd flagship, the Indomitable, and Commander Lucas Grant, a tactical genius who assumes control of the carrier vessel Valiant. The Guardian fleet makes the jump to faster-than-light travel, and immediately the differences become apparent. Galactic ships use hyperlanes, established corridors through space-time that limit routes and speed. The Guardian fleet uses something different: quantum tunneling drives that can punch through space anywhere, ignoring established lanes entirely. What should be a 2-week journey takes 4 days. The Krell have no warning that help is coming, certainly not from humanity. During the journey, the crews familiarize themselves with their vessels. Victoria discovers weapon systems that make her blood run cold. Planet breaker missiles, intended for asteroid mining but weaponized, electromagnetic pulse weapons that can disable entire fleets, and kinetic bombardment systems that drop tungsten rods from orbit at speeds that release nuclear-level energy. Helen uncovers logs from the Guardian fleet's creators. They built these ships in secret, fearing that if humanity encountered hostile aliens, their peaceful integration into galactic society might make them vulnerable. The project was hidden even from Earth's government, funded through black budgets and constructed by volunteers who believed humanity needed a hidden sword. As they approach Denarii space, Sentinel detects the Krell fleet, 216 vessels arranged in bombardment formation around Denarii's 3 inhabited worlds. The Denarii defense fleet is scattered, half their ships already destroyed, the rest falling back to make final stands around their planets. Daniel orders the fleet into combat formation. The ships move with precision impossible for manually crewed vessels, their automated systems responding instantly. The Defiant takes point, with the Indomitable and Valiant on the flanks. The remaining 14 vessels form a spearhead formation, weapons hot. The Krell commander, War Admiral Croth, issues an ultimatum: retreat or be destroyed. Daniel's response is to open fire. The Guardian fleet's weapons are unlike anything the Krell have encountered. Railgun slugs accelerate to .9 light speed, crossing the distance in seconds. The kinetic energy is devastating. The first salvo tears through Krell's shields like they don't exist, the relativistic projectiles punching clean through hulls and continuing through multiple ships. The Krell return fire with plasma cannons and antimatter torpedoes, standard galactic weapons. But the Guardian fleet's shields operate on different principles, rotating quantum fields that disperse energy weapons and deflect projectiles through dimensional shunting. Veronica unleashes the Indomitable's missile batteries. Thousands of autonomous warheads swarm toward the Krell formation, each one capable of independent targeting and equipped with learning AI. The Krell point defense systems struggle. They're designed for predictable galactic ordnance, not weapons that actively adapt and evolve tactics in real time. Lucas launches fighter drones from the valiant, unmanned craft that pull maneuvers no living pilot could survive. They dart through Krell formations, targeting reactor cores and weapon systems with surgical precision. The Krell fleet tries to adapt, but their fighting technology built on entirely different principles. When they concentrate fire on single Guardian ships, those vessels activate reality-anchor disruptors, briefly shifting partially out of normal space-time. Weapons pass through them as if firing at ghosts. Within the first 20 minutes, the Krell have lost 47 ships. War Admiral Croth realizes he's not fighting an inferior opponent but something terrifying and unknown. He orders a full assault, 200 vessels converging on the Guardian fleet in a crushing mass. It's a tactic that has won the Krell a dozen wars, overwhelming firepower concentrated on a single point. Daniel had anticipated this. The Guardian fleet activates a weapon system Helen had hoped they wouldn't need to use, the electromagnetic cascade. 17 ships simultaneously release a coordinated pulse that creates a cascading field effect across the entire Krell formation. Every electronic system in the Krell fleet dies. Ships go dark, floating dead in space. Emergency systems try to reboot but face cascading failures. It will take hours to restore functionality, and in space combat, hours might as well be forever. The Guardian fleet methodically eliminates Krell vessels, targeting weapons and propulsion systems, leaving the ships crippled but crews alive. This isn't a massacre, it's a demonstration. Within 3 hours, the entire Krell warfleet is disabled. Not a single Guardian ship has suffered critical damage. The Denarii defense forces, still reeling from their own near destruction, watch in stunned silence as 17 human vessels accomplished what should have been impossible. News of the battle reaches the Galactic Council within hours. Initial reports are dismissed as impossible, then confirmed by multiple independent sources. The Krell Empire's most powerful war fleet, defeated utterly by 17 human ships. Victoria stands before the Council once more, but the chamber's atmosphere has completely changed. Gone is the condescension, replaced by wary respect and barely concealed fear. She explains the Guardian fleet's origins, humanity's secret contingency plan from centuries ago. The ships were built when humanity knew nothing of galactic civilization, designed to fight unknown threats using purely human innovation and physics. The technology diverged from galactic standards because it was developed in complete isolation. Counselor Thex demands to know how many more ships humanity has hidden. Victoria's answer is simple. These 17 are all that exist, but humanity has retained all the knowledge and manufacturing capabilities to build more if threatened. The Valorum representative, Cora, asks the question everyone is thinking. Why did humanity hide such power? Why endure centuries of being dismissed as weak? Victoria's response cuts to the heart of human philosophy. Humanity joined the galactic community seeking peace, trade, and cooperation. They mothballed their weapons of war because they hoped they'd never be needed. They accepted being seen as weak because strength isn't measured solely in weapons. But when peaceful species like the Denarii faced extinction, when treaties meant nothing and aggression went unchallenged, humanity revealed what they'd always possessed: the capacity for devastating violence in defense of those who cannot defend themselves. The Council votes unanimously to grant humanity full technology sharing rights. They also vote to station Guardian fleet vessels as a rapid response force for treaty enforcement, a proposal Victoria accepts with conditions. The fleet answers to humanity alone and will only respond to genuine threats to peace. On the Defiance Bridge, Daniel receives a transmission from the Denarii government. Their species leadership wishes to thank humanity personally. He drafts a simple response. Humanity fights not for gratitude, but because standing against tyranny is what humanity does. Helen publishes a full report on the Guardian fleet's technology, sharing it freely with the galactic community. The message is clear. Humanity doesn't hoard knowledge, but they will hoard the capability to defend the defenseless. 3 months after the Battle of Denarii, the Guardian fleet has returned to Neptune, once again waiting in quiet readiness. Daniel has returned to his post on Earth's defense platform, but he now commands a very different operation, training crews for the new vessels humanity is constructing, not as weapons of conquest, but as shields for those who need protection. Victoria walks through the rebuilt Galactic Council chambers, noting how representatives now nod respectfully as she passes. Humanity's council seat is no longer a courtesy, but a position of genuine influence. Carl has been promoted and assigned to the new Guardian Fleet Academy, where volunteers from across human space learn to operate the ancient warships. Among them are volunteers from Denarii and other species who saw humanity stand when others wouldn't. Veronica and Lucas have become unofficial ambassadors, traveling between human and alien worlds, building relationships based on mutual respect rather than human weakness or alien superiority. Helen continues her research, uncovering more secrets from humanity's early space age. She suspects there may be other projects hidden away, other contingencies prepared by ancestors who hoped they'd never be needed but were too wise to rely on hope alone. On a quiet day at Neptune, Daniel stands on the Defiance Bridge, looking at the 17 massive warships floating in formation. Sentinel asks if he believes they'll be needed again. Daniel's response is honest. He hopes not, but history suggests tyranny always rises eventually. The story closes with a message being transmitted across galactic space, a simple statement from humanity to all who might hear. We came to the stars seeking peace. We will fight to preserve it. Test us at your peril. The Guardian fleet sleeps once more, but the galaxy knows it can awaken, and that changes everything.